Black Phone 2 is a good movie, guys. It's out, and let's talk about it. It comes in at 74% on the tomato meter, 86 by fans. It's a universally liked movie, and the standout here is indeed the acting from the two leads from the first movie, played by Madeline McGraw and Mason Thames, who come back as Finn and Gwen. And of course, as we saw in the trailers, Ethan Hawke comes back as the grabber. And the premise for this is, as Finn, now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, his sister begins receiving calls in her dreams from the black phone and seeing disturbing visions of three boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpha Lake. So we know that from the trailers, we see that indeed the grabber is back, and he's back in the dreams. Very Freddy Krueger, very 80s style kind of mentality going on here. But the standout here is once again Mason Thames in the lead, going through a bevy of emotions. And then I was so happy that Madeline McGraw here gets more screen time, because she is a phenomenal actress. She's going to be one that you got to keep your eye on. And we saw that in the first film, right? We saw hints of that in the first film with that scene where she gets abused, and she can take it down to these levels where you're like, I can't believe somebody this young is able to portray this, but she's doing it. And Mason Thames, they bounce off of each other like brother and sister, and that's the heart of the movie. I think that's what people were not expecting in the first Black Phone movie, where it was kind of like, oh well, okay, so it's kind of like a slasher. The grabber's getting these kids and he's killing them, but then there seems to be this heart of the family going on here that you really enjoy. And there's some huge payoffs to that family dynamic in the last act of this film, where it's like they come together to save each other from the grabber, who seems to be once again at it, trying to get back at them for revenge. And I found myself just going, well, guys, we're an hour into this film, and nothing has really happened pertaining to grabber, but it's because of that family dynamic, it's because of the acting that you're on board with this. Scott Derrickson once again directs, and I think most people are going to enjoy this film. Jeremy Davis is back as the father, Ariana Rivas is Mustang, and then Damian Bashir is Mando. Mando, really? Yes. As the camp owner of the camp, right? Mustang is somebody there that's just there to help him work. And then it's kind of like, almost like a Freddy Krueger script, where it's kind of like, well, we've got to find these kids to help them rest once again, so that the grabber loses his powers, because if we forget about him, kind of like Freddy Krueger, he won't have his powers, right? But it's also like Dream Warriors, in the sense that we saw that from the trailers, that there's definitely dream sequences, and people are being thrown around in the air, and it gets bloody. It gets very bloody, and I like that about the film, right? It's like a love letter to 80s movies almost. And I gotta say, the cinematography, it's got this grain to it for when they're in the dreams. So see how grainy it is there? That's on purpose by Scott Derrickson. And you're like, I can't watch the entire movie when it's all grainy like this. It's like 240p. But they do have it crisp. They do use crisp cameras and cinematography when it's out in the real world. I like what this film was doing. And overall, I gotta say, Black Phone 2 is well done. I don't know if we are ever going to see a Black Phone 3, because I don't know. I mean, you could possibly. It depends on how much cheddar this brings in over the weekend, and I think it probably will, because they're saying that it did okay. It brought in 26.5 with the US, 42 worldwide for a Black Phone 2. So it's got that possibility. But let's go over to my score sheet and start filling in some numbers here for Black Phone 2. And then we'll go back to the tomato meter and take a look at what critics and stuff are saying. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score, 1 point. So, acting. The cast is serviceable. No, it's not. You just said Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw are fantastic. Indeed, they are. And then, as much as Ethan Hawke has that mask on, he still conveys menace. So I got to give multiple points here for acting. 2. A full point. Full 2 points for acting. Directing. Technical aspects. They use that very interesting graininess, as I said, for the cinematography. The pacing might be a bit slow for some people to start, but once you get into it, you're going to be into it, and you'll be wanting to know where this goes, how are they going to solve this problem, kind of thing, right? So the execution of the story is fairly well done. I'm going to give directing 1.5. There are some criticisms in there. As I said, with the opening, it's a little bit drawn out. I don't know how it's going to stand up upon repeated viewings, but once you get to those payoffs, it's totally worthwhile. Story. Interesting premise. It's curious to see how they bring back the grabber and then how he works. It's really, it has so many nods to things that we know, and it's like, okay, you're going with that. Cool. I don't have any problem with that because it's Ethan Hawke just giving this. You don't see all of his face, right? So it's kind of like, how can he do this? How can he be this like menacing? Anyway, cinematography. I'm going to give cinematography a full point. Now, I could strike this movie for only having a minor problem with the cinematography. Score was adequate, 6.5. And let's elaborate a little bit more about that cinematography point that I know a lot of people may miss, they may overlook. And I will tell you that there are multiple scenes in this movie where it felt like we're on the volume. Like here. Do you actually think that that's a mountain lake? Or do you think the set ends just about here? And you'll be like, okay, but I guess they don't really have a real mountain youth lake camp. It's at night. It's easier to control the circumstances. But there are scenes where it is very noticeable that there is no mountain lake there. That it does feel like we're on the volume. And I think that may not work for some people. Like we're this close to having this look and feel like you can go out and walk on this lake to the end there, right? There's still something about that image there that says to our eyes, it's not quite real, right? And I don't know if it's because the forefront is too, there's not a good, the marriage isn't as seamless yet, but there's a lot of this in this movie. And if somebody were to critique it for that and knock it down for a point because of that, I would just counter with the way that they shot the graininess of the dream sequences, which may be somebody's critique as well. I don't like it being so grainy. Why did they? Right? I can understand that too. So there is some contention there to be had with the cinematography. But I'm going to give my praises to the actors, Madeline McGraw. She's going to be somebody that you're going to be wanting to watch coming up. So she's got 2 upcoming projects: Super Unknown, High Stakes Holiday. Keep your eye on her. She's like the Chloe Grace Moretz. You just watched her when she was young, and you just saw her develop into this great actress, right? Anya Taylor-Joy, that kind of thing. and then Mason Thames. Mason Thames, he was the best part of that How to Train Your Dragon movie, for me at least. It made it worthwhile watching because while I like the animated version, he just has that presence. He's got that wit. There's like a slight sarcasm in his sarcastic portrayal in his mannerisms, where you're just like, okay, it's kind of reminiscent of a young Harrison Ford. That's what I found when I was watching him on the screen. I was like, very reminiscent of a very young Harrison Ford. So he's got S Heads next, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and Regretting You. Oh yeah, that Regretting You opens up next week, guys. And keep your eye on this guy too, because he's got that extra button. Okay, he obviously can carry a film by himself at a young age because he did Black Phone 2, How to Train Your Dragon, all required him to be there in the forefront. Now in this film, I think he's like a supporting character, Regretting You. I'm going to see this next weekend because it's McKenna Grace as well, right? But as I said, when I just watch his mannerisms and his style, it's just totally reminded me of Harrison Ford. So let's go back to that tomato meter. Let's see what the critics are saying. See what the audience say. What's notable about Black Phone 2 is how unlikable the Black Phone it is in some ways. How unlike the Black Phone it is in some ways. So yeah, it's not like that trapped in the basement scenario again. I like how they reference that too. I do. That may provoke disappointment from some quarters, but it also makes for a unique, unexpected experience. Yes, because this movie just can't use that same rinse and repeat formula. It's got to evolve. It's got to change because the scenario changed. You killed the grabber in the first movie. He's not going to be taken or kidnapped by somebody else who's also just going to be able to having to escape by ghosts, right? It's not going to be like that. Mark Kermode didn't like it. Oh, how about that? It feels a lot more generically derivative. Oh, that's very insightful, Kermode. That guy's gone downhill. His criticisms, his takes. If he's on his show, I stopped watching his YouTube channel because he stopped being on the show. It used to be like him all the time. I come to watch your channel, and it's this other guy and two other guys that always take over, and it's like, all right, I'm not going to watch you anymore. Anyway, that's it. Audience people, definitely a must see of the year. Yeah, and watch it with a full crowd. Sinister meets Elm Street. Elm Street, yeah, you can't disregard the Freddy Krueger references in this. The movie was amazing. I really liked that it had all the original cast members in it. Great movie, plenty of jump scares and shocking moments. Great choice in going fully supernatural. Yeah, well, there was already that supernatural element because of ghosts and them calling you to help you get out of the trap basement. So you go on. Okay, what's the most interesting part of that? That he was locked in a basement with this psycho and then ghosts helped him? Or was the most interesting part that he was able to hear the dead? And that's sort of what this movie explores, is that this guy is traumatized by the fact that he's got the shining. Sort of, right? That's what it is on its nose. So 42 million at the box office this weekend. I think that's good. Next week, because this is the only horror movie now that's going to be out now for Halloween, I think it's going to have a good second week as well. Now that it's getting good, positive word of mouth, that people are digging this. People are liking this. 86%. The critics, don't worry about that too much. Black Phone, the original one, 81%, 88% by the audience. So it's up there. It's in the same ballpark. Worth watching. So, you know my criticisms. What do you guys think? Let me go back to the watchability factor and put that in and see where we land for the final score. Watchability factors out of a possible 2 points. And if you like the first Black Phone film, I'd say go check this out in the theaters and see it in a full theater if you can. See it with a bunch of people, because some of the jump scares, some of the laughs in here do pay off. And there's a terrific scene in the end between the brother and the sister and the father, where they're just having it out. They're airing their dirty laundry. It's like so well done. Like, that's the power of having good actors, where he's just like, here's the scene. We're not going to move from this one scene. It's just, here's the script. Go. And you let these actors do this and sink their teeth into the material, and it pays off. And the Black Phone pays off. So it's worth watching. Right there, 8 out of 10. That's the way I feel for Black Phone 2. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. 8 out of 10 is a good score. All right. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we just reviewed other movies like After the Hunt with Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield, about a teacher that gets accused of misappropriations in the worst possible way. And then we reviewed the other horror movie called Good Boy, a horror movie told by the perspective all from a dog's point of view, which was very interesting. But let me know what you thought about Black Phone 2 in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains.